South Asians are killing themselves way too easy, and in this video I'm going to go through the exact mortality rates, the issues around type 2 diabetes and the cardiovascular risk, and changes that you need to make, and the stuff that you probably want to send this to your parents to avoid them having an early death. Now it sounds morbid as fuck, but the reality is that the South Asian community has the highest rates of type 2 diabetes, the highest rate of cardiovascular disease, and something has to change. Well, there's a lot that needs to change. Firstly is the genetic components of all these variables. When you look at the risk of type 2 diabetes and the cardiovascular disease, what we know from the research is that when South Asians get these particular lifestyle diseases, there is deleterious effects on their health that is hard to recover from. Whereas white people like me, we have a good regeneration rate, so we get type 2 diabetes and it doesn't always lead to cardiovascular disease. Whereas the higher rates within the South Asian community, normally as a 1-2 punch, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, risk of mortality. We want to stop that trend altogether, and it can start with so simple lifestyle changes. And let me read off some stats for you. The South Asian community are 6 times more likely to develop type 2 diabetes than white Europeans. Approximately 20% of the UK South Asian population has type 2 diabetes, and nearly a prevalence of 5 times higher than any other indigenous population. South Asian men in the UK are 30 to 40% higher incidence of ischemic heart disease compared to the general population, and the age standardized mortality rate from coronary heart disease is 50% higher in South Asians than in other populations. And the risk of cardiovascular disease mortality is 4.4 times higher in the South Asian community with type 2 diabetes than white Europeans with the same condition. Because most of you watching this video, and the people that we speak to when we've helped over 2,000 South Asians get in amazing shape and stay in shape forever, is we always ask which one of your family members has a history or health issue that they're currently battling. But as you get to the 30s and 40s, they see more people dying and see more people have heart issues and health issues, and it reflects in themselves on their own journey to make a change. Nobody wants to see their parents grow older. It's tough. My mum and dad are getting older and you can see the changes. But on top of that, see the health issues that come with that, and then the fearfulness that comes because of these risks. And it's only natural to want to change their behaviors, but then it's a reflection on how we then change ours, because we also will have kids. And if you have kids right now, and when they're 30 to 40, they're going to be doing the same thing to you if you don't make this change. And the thing with type 2 diabetes or pre-diabetic is that it's a lifestyle disease. And yes, when you have genetic components, there is a higher risk that you'll get it. I think the risk is 33% if one of your parents have it, and it's always a 66 to 70% chance if 2 of your parents get it. But what the major considerations is that type 2 can be put into remission by lifestyle changes. The biggest factor that goes into having type 2 or not having type 2 is the level of body fat that you have around your midsection. We know the South Asian community, like yourself, will have bigger belly fat, more fat in those areas, and therefore that is the biggest predetermining factor of that type 2 diabetes. So quite simply, the research shows if you lose 10% of your body weight, just lose fat in general, and it decreases the risk of these prevalences happening as a long chain effect. You just need to lose weight. There's no secret diet, there's no secret foods. If you've got belly fat, you're at risk. Now, you don't have to have a six-pack, but if you have love handles and you have your belly popping out of your t-shirt, or you've got a skinny fat frame, you are going to be the highest chance people, on top of genetics, but then on top of your lifestyle, come up with these factors. The biggest thing that gets people in their own way is the fact that they blame their genetics, or they blame that they can't do it because their family have gone through it. The reason why the prevalence of type 2 diabetes is so high when parents have it is not the genetic component. It's because they're the parents that taught you how to eat. For the first 18, 22, if you're not married, you're staying at your parents' house until your 30s, you're impacted by your environment. If your parents are overweight, they will eat more food. You will see them eat more food, you will adopt those practices. And then what is normal to you is actually deleterious to your health. What we see with our clients in the US who actually move out of their home for college at 18 or 21, they have significantly better health outcomes most of the time because they're removing themselves out of an environment that is not conducive to health. If their parents are overweight, there's such a high chance that you're going to follow the same pattern. Whereas if you stay in your family home until 25, until 30, until you get married, you've got 30 years of exposure to poor habits and things that are leading to these deleterious effects. Now, you don't have to move out of your house, although it might be useful. Less annoying, less mother-in-laws giving you the shit. But it's going to give you a better place to start from, and the environment is key. Because more than likely, you're still eating mum's food in the evening, or you have done for a long period of time. More than likely, she's still pressuring you to have 2 plates of food. More than likely, the habits of finishing off your plate, having a sweet after a meal, or having these elaborate events or festivals that then require lots of food in one go, and someone's bringing dokla, somebody's bringing samosa, someone's bringing a dish, someone's bringing a sweet dish, and then before you know it, you haven't been able to control your calories calories because everyone around you is eating that food and you feel like you're missing out. This is the start of how you formulate your decisions and start being indoctrinated by the people around you to make positive or negative changes. And I feel like the easiest way to separate yourself and not follow the same trajectory as parents is making a change within your health and fitness and looking at the principles of what is killing South Asians earlier than what's necessary. And here's an easy rundown. If you want a 5 tick box list of things that are going to keep you away from that, 1 is having low levels of body fat. 2 is that training progressively and having muscle tissue on your frame. Number 3 is staying away from any kind of risk factors for normal people. The smoking, the drinking, the late nights or not getting enough sleep, all the deleterious things that might go into, smoking and drinking, for example, or lifestyle factors like that. And then most importantly, keeping the weight off for a multitude of years. And then lastly, doing that repetitively for a consistent period of time where you have enough muscle tissue to use the glucose so that you don't have high levels of blood sugar, having low levels of body fat so that you don't put stress on your heart, your arteries, and then have high levels of cholesterol because of that fat that's occupying that blood, and then not giving the heart any reason to not be fit and healthy, either through body weight that's weighing you down or not doing enough activity to train the heart to be more cardiovascularly fit. And once you do those things, you put yourself in such a better place where then those risk factors don't get passed on to the next generation. And even if they did have a genetic component, your lifestyle is out lifestyling your genetic, because everyone can change. You know a friend, you know somebody that is a little bit outside of the cultural norms, that is living healthy lifestyle, that has great health outcomes, that looks amazing, feels amazing, and occupies at such a higher level than other people. And that's because they've took what is useful from their culture and their lifestyle, and then they've discarded what is not useful. And let's just say this: habits and behaviors are learnt, and over your 30s and 40s, you have to unlearn the bad ones and create new ones. Because everything that you got from 0 to 20 is not always conducive. My parents don't know or didn't know anything to do with portion sizes, what constitutes a great meal. And then I learn those same things, and I do those same things with myself going into university, because that's all I know. So if it's accustomed in my house to have a sweet after a meal, I'll adopt those principles. If it's okay and standard and normal to have high levels of body fat and celebrated to some degree, it's normal. Going on a diet and being restrictive or kind of finding a healthier alternative is frowned upon, then I won't do that later as well. Because more resistance and more practice, you learn those behaviors. And when you can start picking apart the things that are not useful and then doing more of the things that are useful, you then put yourself in a position where these stats are not about you. They're about everybody else, and you're absolutely fine. And like I said at the beginning with the South Asian community, from a genetic or scientific physiology perspective, once you have these conditions, it's a downhill trend from there, because it's not the same as me getting it, where there's less regeneration properties in yourself. Whereas if I can have type 2 diabetes, it doesn't mean that 100% going to get cardiovascular disease. Whereas within the South Asian community, the chances are 4 times higher that one leads to the next, that the one leads to the next one. And it's all about prevention and changing those first early years, or if you don't have that ability, changing your lifestyle now so that the next 20, next 30 can be great, and then you're not passing that same on to the kids and the people that you're around. We call it the spider web effect, both positively and negatively. Negatively, you're around other people, they're the spider web, and you're attached to those behaviors, traits, and what everyone else is doing. If you've got 5 friends that drink 10 pints at the weekend, you'll be the 11th friend. If you've got family members who have takeaway Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you're going to do the same thing as well. Whereas equally on the flip side, is it only takes one person and 2 people in your family to start taking their health seriously, start making changes within that lifestyle, start going for walks, exercising, going to the gym, eating better, losing body fat, and then you get another person to do the same, and then another person, and now you've got 2 spider webs. You've got the spider web of health and the spider web of change, and you've got the spider web of doing the things that you did before. And over time, you'll do more of this health spider web, more people will be getting involved. We've had clients who have gone through the process of getting in amazing shape, and their family, their mum, their dad, their sister, their uncle, their daughter have all made positive changes. Now they're a healthy family, not just a healthy person. And the more people and the more you take the leadership of being that first spider on the spider web to create those changes, the less you're going to have to deal with the backlash of the people or the health deleterious effects that come from being on the other spider web. But if you wanted one thing that you could take away from this that stops the whole process of pre-diabetic into type 2 into cardiovascular disease, is if you have a large belly, remove it. By hook, by crook, the level of obesity that you have further above 25 or 23 on the BMI scale and have low muscle mass, find that 23 and go and find a body fat level that is lower, where you don't have a belly, so you don't have these consequences. Because once you focus on that and you remove all the noise of what's good and what's bad and is this diet good and this is bad and this processed food, remove all of that. Until you're in a healthy BMI of 23, none of that shit matters if you've still got a big belly, because that's the biggest anchor. Most people want to talk about individual things that make it better or worse for your health, but not everything is weighted the same. Having a car is a car, but having a Ferrari versus a Fiat Punto, they're different weights of order of magnitude and authority, how people look at you, what available financially you've got, but both of you have a car, but the weighting towards these things are completely different. And that's the same as the body fat levels. That is your 10x, your 20x return on investment to improving your health outcomes. You don't need to worry about whether broccoli, Diet Coke, or even tofu is bad for you if you have a big belly. If you remove the big belly and then optimize your health after that, you'll be in a much easier place to do so. Now, it falls on deaf ears for people that are like, yeah, well, I know I need to lose weight, but it's hard. It's like, is it hard or is it worth doing? If you don't want to end up like your parents and you don't want to pass these traits and habits onto your kids, because you're the link. If your parents have had type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and you now follow in the same suit, you're passing it on to generations next. Be the change. Make sure your next generation doesn't have these health outcomes because you're the person that took action. And if you want to find out exactly how we help South Asian individuals, and over 2,000 of them, get in amazing shape and stay in shape forever, whilst obviously dealing with these health consequences and a bespoke, tailored, South Asian specific plan, use the link in the bio that books in a call with our team, and we'll show you exactly how we're going to take your roadmap from going from A to B to getting these results and stopping the tracks of all these health issues in the way.